Howard.
Well, I agree with an awful lot of what Neil has said, though not his conclusion. And the debates are going to make this election different. And of course, there's a danger about the debates, which is that, as we know from the American experience, people tend to judge the debates largely on what people like you tell them was the outcome. And that is determined as much by the difference between expectation and performance as performance itself. And people's expectations of Gordon Brown are very low, and he will do better than they expect.
At least with the debates, whatever the rest of the media says and the spin doctors say, at least people will be able to watch them and make up their own minds. I mean, that seems to be the difference.
That's progress. Of that, I'm certain, where democracy and technology have come together. And eventually, I think because of Gordon Brown's openness, there's been an agreement, which naturally Mr. Cameron fully agreed with, and rightly so, to have this debate. So that will be a really acceptable and welcome innovation. But I think that Michael's right in the sense that the debates themselves, going by American and French experience, tend to be rather more pallid than the expectation.
But given that Gordon Brown is still well behind in the polls at this point, how important is next week's debate going to be to him?
Well, it'll be helpful. Of that, there is no doubt, because what he'll be able to manifest is mastery of the issues and also his resilience and character. And in the circumstance in which the country is now as a result of global financial disaster, it is character and resilience that I'm certain that the people, when they reflect on it, will be looking for.
Yeah. Let me bring in Paddy Ashdown again, if I may. You've said you'd have torn people's arms off to be able to be up there in a debate with the other leaders in your day. What does Nick Clegg need to do? How is he going to stand out in this debate and really make people think again?
He is a very attractive, Andrew, an extremely attractive politician, the more you see of him. And I think you see there a firm set of beliefs and I think a remarkable capacity to speak in the language of ordinary people. I'm not a great person for giving advice to my successors, but if I was speaking to Nick, I'd say be yourself. Yeah, I think the country thinks it knows Gordon Brown and doesn't much like what it sees. I don't think it understands what Mr. Cameron, doesn't know what Mr. Cameron stands for. If he is himself, I think he'll do very well. By the way, can I come back to a discussion you had earlier on about the debate? I think the Tories have done well in their first week, but I think they've done well by abandoning their core message, and I think they will pay a price for that. This is a kind of Sarah Palin moment where they grab for a piece of populism and abandon the core message. I mean, I've always thought that the real problem with the Conservative Party is that they have not bottomed out their propositions in the way that Tony Blair did in 1997. And we thought they were about reducing the deficit, and now we discover they're about electoral handouts. I think that will do them damage.
All right. Without picking up on all of that, Michael Howard, what's the elephant trap ahead for your party, do you think? What do you have to avoid doing, given that you're ahead and all the rest of it, in the next couple of weeks?
I think we have to try and keep hold of the initiative. I've every confidence that we'll be able to do that, and it's a very remarkable thing to have been able to do in this first week. I don't see any reason why we can't continue to do it. I think the debates will be important. I hope that will be another staging post on the road to a Conservative victory.
You don't think you've offered too much in terms of, on the one hand?
Not at all, because it's been very carefully costed. For heaven's sake, these plans were produced by people who were advising the government just a few months ago, the government's own advisors, endorsed by over 100 business leaders, some of whom were on Gordon Brown's own Council of Economic Advisors. Now he says these people whom he appointed were deceived.
I think they've already fallen into the elephant trap. And the elephant trap, as you suggest, is to make their big giveaway right at the start of the campaign, leaving weeks for it to unravel, insofar as it was ravelled in the first place. And the consequence is that anything further they do will be seen to be also uncosted and irresponsible, and that's not the kind of gamble that the British people want to take.
I think they have undermined their core message here.
All right.
Paddy was
you both agree on that. Neil Kinnock, you've fought a few elections in your time, lost the last one. What's your advice to Gordon Brown? What does he have to avoid doing in the next few weeks?
I think he's going to be himself and let his character come through. Now, talking of attractive politicians, of course, Gordon has got a radio face. and nothing can get away from that. But I actually think that insofar as these things matter, that evidence of dedication, of hard work, of total commitment to the national interest, cragginess, if you like, is going to work to his advantage.
Craggy, sorry, Lord Ashdown, just very, very briefly, one sentence. What does Nick Clegg have to avoid?
I think he has to avoid probably getting himself too engaged in the knockabout between those two, who are largely, I think, discredited by many who would be wanting a different alternative, and be himself.
All right.
Yes, Gordon Brown, the Captain Ahab de nos jours, but the public knows him, and I don't think they want any more.
Craggy, Captain Ahab, and all the rest
Cameron
of it.
The White Whale.
There's a lot more of this to come. That's all we've got time for. Next Sunday, there's early morning excitement of BBC One. The Grand Prix comes live from Shanghai, which means a slightly later start for us. So after watching men going round and round the same course, trying not to crash, we'll be talking about men and women going round and round the same course, trying not to crash. Join me if you possibly can at 10:15 next Sunday. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and thank you.